Buying a home for the first time is exciting, but it also means lots of pressure to save enough for a deposit.
This can be anywhere from the tens of thousands of dollars to six figures, so Chris Kohler has some saving tips for first-timers.
It's basically never been harder to save for a deposit in Australia, but here's something we know. 86% of millennials in Australia rate home ownership as being very important. So, what do you need to know and do to get yourself into the driver's seat? Well,
hey, Chris.
G'day.
How are you?
Will Unkles is a mortgage broker who advises first-home buyers on the best ways to save for a deposit.
I find generally 4 to 5 years it can take to save a decent deposit. And when I say decent, 10% plus stamp duty if you're in that ballpark is what it's going to take to get you to a point where you're ready to go and attack a property.
What's the first thing you really need to sit down and work out?
Your income is generally fairly set by your employer, and you might move up a few bands over time, but you're not going to be able to jump your income that quickly. The easier thing to adjust is your budgeting, so where your money goes.
What sort of things do tend to blow holes in people's budgets?
Eating out's a big one. It's a generational change where we're no longer eating in our homes, we're now heading out more often than ever. Holidays is the big one that kills things. No longer is it a trip down to the local beach, it's now overseas to Europe for a 2-month jaunt. These things blow big holes in savings budgets, but they are choices. And so you've got to think about needs and wants, and what is a need? Those things you can't adjust. What is a want? Something that you could do an alternative to.
So you've got your budget, Will, and you're sticking with it and things are going pretty well. What do you do then?
Within your budget, there's going to be common outlays that might be taking place on credit cards. And it's really dangerous to have a high credit limit if you're someone that's a spender, or other personal loans, car loans, things that are ticking over in the background that's really going to restrict your ability to put money towards your own back pocket. So what I encourage people to do is really turn your focus to paying off those unsecured debts.
One of the things for first-home buyers is rent. They're going to have to pay this big outgoing just to live somewhere while they save. It's a hard one, but have you got any kind of advice on what they might do?
Rent's usually the biggest outlay week to week in someone's budget. The easiest way to solve it, if you can, is move back in with parents. Short of that, it's about potentially share housing, and then short of that, there's not much else you can do except for moving further out of the capital cities where rents tend to get cheaper.
Lender's mortgage insurance is an expense many of us try to avoid, but Will says it's important to weigh up your options.
Lender's mortgage insurance is paid when you don't have a 20% deposit. So if you go backwards at it, if you're at 10%, how much longer is it going to take you to get to 20? And if the answer is another 4 to 5 years, then are you better off to take the hit on the mortgage insurance now, get into the market, hope that you get that back in growth in the property, and therefore what seemed like a very big expense at the time will be worth it in the long run.
Some great advice there from Chris, and we're joined by Jordan and Marina, who are first home buyers. I hope you were listening carefully to that report, were you?
Taking notes.
Some great tips there from Chris. So you're in the market, so I'm sorry that we're taking you away from your open for inspections today. I bet Saturdays are pretty chockers for you at the moment.
They always are,
Yes,
yep.
always.
Fully booked all the time. It's got to make sure you make every single open for inspection and every auction.
How have you guys find it trying to get into the market now? Is it hard for first-home buyers?
It is tough. It's actually very tough, and it's kind of a little bit disencouraging at the stages because you look at a lot of them and then think that you have them, but then turns out you don't end up getting that one you want. So,
I'd imagine the biggest thing would be trying to save for that first home deposit. That must be just such a huge task. How do you go about doing that, guys?
a lot of sacrifices with your fun money. You have to kind of cut down on all that sort of stuff and just slowly put it away and chip away at it until it gets to be that nice lump sum of close to that 20% that you're after.
Yeah.
So have you got a wish list of what you're actually after? I know you have a fur child, Murphy.
Yes.
So I'm gathering that sort of perhaps a house is more important to you than an apartment?
Yeah, with a nice backyard, maybe close to parks and things, preferably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be good for that because we need something for the dog. He can't live inside.
No,
So.
and he's quite energetic as well, so not an inside dog.
Yeah, you will really want that space, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys been using the Domain Loan Finder site, and how has that been? How have you been finding that sort of service to look out there?
It's actually super easy to use. We used it before, and it kind of, you just chuck in all your details in there, and it told us that we would comfortably be able to get a 600k loan. So it kind of helped us know that we can actually aim for that market price there.
Right, so what areas then have you been shopping in?
Mostly inner city stuff that we're looking at the moment, like a 20-kilometre radius, like Northcote, Thornbury, Elphington, Ivanhoe, that sort of stuff.
Was it a big decision to decide to stop renting and decide to buy a house? Why did you decide to do that?
Sick of giving my money away, really. After years and years of renting, you kind of think maybe I should be putting this towards my future instead of just giving it to someone else. So
yeah, the freedom factor wears off with renting after a while, doesn't it?
Bit, yeah.
Absolutely.
So hopefully it's the right choice.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're going to be following your journey, actually. We're going to keep up with you over the next few weeks, of course, and see how it's going. Are you heading out to some open houses today?
We're actually just going for breakfast
No,
today.
we're not. We take a break.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what we're meant to do.
Yeah.
Right. How's it been going to some of those auctions? I know they can be quite soul-destroying. Have you been in the hunt?
It's a good way to describe them, yeah. Sometimes they're really exciting, they are.
Yeah.
But when you don't get the success you're after, it kind of is a little bit soul-destroying.
Do you come in with a sort of strategy? What sorts of things do you think about when you go into those auctions?
It's tough, really. Like, you don't want to bid straight away, is what I've been told, but I don't know if that's the right thing or not. But you want to have a limit that you can hit and never go over that limit is what I've been told as well. So just try and stay at it because you can get too excited.
Yeah, and a lot of people go for those odd numbers as well just to get them over the line. Just, an extra $500 might be the difference.
Yeah.
That's right. Marina, do you have a wish list? Often it's the ladies that are up to decorating the home or
Yes.
putting a little bit of personality into it.
Yes.
So what's your wish? Is it I don't know, I always like a window in a bathroom came up really high on my wish list.
Window
always.
in a bathroom is definitely good. Yes, I would like something with lots of light and a nice kitchen. Love the kitchen.
And the garden.
And a garden.
And a garden.
Yes, garden.
Okay.
And what about transport, guys? I mean, that's such a huge factor these days, is being able to move around. Do you ditch the car or do you try and look for somewhere that's close to public transport? What are you aiming for?
Yeah, close to public transport is good, I think, for like future investment. But close to the freeways would be all right as well, just because if you got to work, I've got to drive around a bit, so it's nice to be close to those.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, we are going to follow your journey until you find a home. We will stay with you the whole way.